About myself. So I enlisted in the Marine Corps at age 18 in 2003, and I served 4 years active duty on Camp Lejeune. I ended up deploying to Afghanistan for 7 months, into Iraq for 7 months. It was really during a lot of hard Iraq and Afghanistan. Now we're just in Afghanistan. Anyway, when I returned home, I was battling a lot of things that veterans battle: isolation, drinking heavily alone, stuff like that. About I have a bachelor's degree now, and that's where I ran into Jennifer, my veterans coordinator at school. I got the email. He was telling me about, oh, she works with veterans. If you're interested. Generally, most of our way of thinking is, no, I don't want to talk about it. I'm gonna throw it to the side, and I'll deal with it another day. So I started looking at her photos and researching, and I was like, oh, I can kind of relate to that. I can relate to that, without even knowing these people. And then I started talking to Jennifer, and the more it was like a good lengthy process. She wanted to make sure that I was comfortable, that I wasn't going to get triggered in any way, and she actually just basically went over all the pictures with me and what they meant, and I was like, I can relate to it. So I felt there was a need to tell the story, to tell my story, because a lot of times we don't tell it enough. And as you've seen tonight, these are pretty powerful stories, and they're all around us. We just don't realize it. It's in our classrooms, it's in our workplaces, it's in our families. And there's movies being made about it all the time. And I think it's really important going into the future that we recognize this stuff, because we do have all these troops coming home, and it's going to keep coming home. As you've seen yesterday, we were in Afghanistan to 2014, and whatever the 2024, I'm not sure of the official mission, but these guys are going to be coming home, and these guys have been coming home for years. And I think previously it was, let's not talk about it, but I think even some Vietnam veterans have mentioned that my picture helped tell their story in their own way. So I think that it's really important. So through working with Jennifer, we try to pinpoint one moment to where it really stood out to me, to where, there's plenty that we could have done, but so my moment was, I was on a rooftop in Iraq, and we were standing post. I'll tell you a little about the area. The units before us, every time they went out there, ambushed. So we were going to be the unit that did the major offensive. It was called Operation Steel Curtain. We went through the city. So we were always on alert, we were always vigilant. And actually, the unit before us, they tried to blow up our base with garbage truck and dump trucks. So they were like, you guys are going to have fun out there. So we were in the process of getting rid of our restructuring the base after they tried to blow it up. And so we were on this rooftop, and what was happening was they were getting rid of that building completely the next day. They had taken down the Humvee glass, which was protecting us, and we went up there thinking, this is kind of a bad idea, because this was a post that was pretty close to the city. And as you see in the background, it's more like that's kind of how it looks. So when I returned home, it was like I went up to my room to isolate myself, to stay away from the world. And I was really conscious around the windows, because on the one day on that post was a sniper's bullet literally lodged right in front of me. And that's kind of what the sandbag, I don't see a little sand on it, and there's sand on the ground that symbolizes that. So my buddy who was on post with me that day, I might add, he lives in Georgia. He actually ended up being wounded on the mission. He was able to make it up here for the opening of this last year in Buffalo. So it meant a lot to him too, because he's probably one of the only guys that can completely understand that was there that day. So I think just transferring it to also to my family and stuff. They always, what are you doing up there Monday afternoon drinking Bud Light? You just left school, don't you have homework? And I was like, I don't get the people at school, I don't get what's going on, I don't understand. I'm trying, that's probably the positive thing I'm doing, but I was always frustrated. I had my sister's in the picture, and she was telling home the stories of, oh my God, I see this and that. I was ready to flip out all the time because I just felt like family to understand, school to understand, no one could understand except my buddies and well, not to like that. But so that's kind of what my picture symbolizes. There's a silhouette of the sniper in the background, which is, if you can look closely, there's the black figure. My family's out there in front, and I felt like more it was a symbol of, because they never left me. They never left me to hang out to dry. They always were there to try to figure out what I was going through. But also, it helped. This picture helps because I got to tell the story in front of them, and then they got to visualize it. So, like I was telling Jennifer earlier outside, it's like a year since we did this picture. I really feel like my family and even friends and relatives, like they're starting to see more clearly, like, wow, Jeff did go through something that we didn't even imagine. And this is just one picture. So, but I really think it opened a lot of eyes. So the rifle symbolizes, obviously, we had rifles in post, and all the empty shell casings symbolize all the rounds we basically shot back into the city. It's even in my context. Whatever we could get whatever, that was like our, whatever, it was like a theory. They shot 2 mortars, we shot 20 back, because we couldn't take risks, So, and then the beer obviously symbolizes the isolation, staying in the room, and drowning your sorrows, so to speak. But I gotta say, this was a really great project to be involved with. A lot of my friends that I was even in with in the military, this was posted on Facebook, so they actually like been talking about it. My old platoon sergeant, he's been in contact with me, because they can relate. And I feel like, as a veteran of Iraq and Afghanistan, too many times we go down with the stigma of this, to isolate yourself. If you can find a way to use this all, you learn so many skills there that you can take back with you into the real world. Veterans are leaders. They overcome obstacles that the average person normally doesn't face. So I feel like if you can use a lot of this stuff to your advantage, and tell your story in a positive way, you can enlighten a lot of people. A year ago I didn't know I was going to stand here. But it's so true, and the more that talk about it, and the more Jennifer is doing, and people like that are taking interest, it's really good. It's been a pleasure to work with her. It's been a pleasure to be here today. And that's pretty much all I got. And I guess now we're open to questions and answers.
Yeah.